Brought to you by Curtis & Son Funeral Home, the North Chapel on Highway 21 in Sylacauga, and the Childersburg Chapel on Highway 280 in Childersburg for funerals, burials, or cremations since 1975. Curtis & Son Funeral Home, Sylacauga, Childersburg. In obituary news this morning, Barbara Edge died at her residence on December 10th. Community Funeral Home announcing Robert Swain died at his residence in Harpersville on December the 11th. Community Funeral Home will announce those arrangements. And Community Funeral Home, too, announcing the arrangements for Mary Leonard, who passed away at her residence on December 12th. Graveside service for Mr. Otis Pinson will be December the 19th at Evergreen Cemetery in Sylacauga. Curtis & Son Funeral Home directing. Memorial service for Mr. Steve Pruitt of Sylacauga will be 10 a.m. Saturday morning at Estelle Community Church. Pastor Mark Deason officiating. Curtis & Son Funeral Home directing. And funeral arrangements will be announced later today for Mrs. Marion Payot, who died at her residence on Sunday in Childersburg. Curtis & Son Funeral Home will announce the arrangements. Visitation for Timothy Wayne Bice, age 76 of Sylacauga, this morning at 10 o'clock from the Chapel of Radley Smith Funeral Home from 10 until 11. Funeral service at 11 with Dr. Rick Patrick along with Reverend Rodney Bice and Reverend James Long officiating. Burial in the Evergreen Cemetery. In lieu of flowers, a family suggests donation be made to Forward in Faith First Baptist Church in Sylacauga. Radley Smith Funeral Home directing. Funeral service for Gladys Jones Peters, age 92, is Wednesday at 11 a.m. from Radley Smith Funeral Home with Pastor Mark Jessup officiating. Burial in the Evergreen Cemetery. Visitation is Wednesday 10 until 11 at the funeral home. The family will accept flowers or donations can be made to the Knollwood Presbyterian Church. Radley Smith Funeral Home in Sylacauga in charge of the arrangements. And funeral service for William Robert Jemison Jr., age 88 of Sylacauga, will be Thursday at 11 a.m. at Radley Smith Funeral Home with Pastor Zach Walker officiating. Burial in the Alabama National Cemetery in Montevallo. Mr. Jemison died December 12th at his residence. Visitation Thursday 10 until 11 at the funeral home. Mr. Jemison was a member of the Mount Pisgah Baptist Church in Cropwell and for many years, and currently members of Grimes Chapel Baptist Church in Stewartville. In lieu of flowers, a donation can be made to a church or favorite charity. Radley Smith Funeral Home directing. Albert A.J. Johnson, age 35, died Sunday. The family will announce services at a later date. Talladega Funeral Home directing. John Austin Cater Jr. died November the 27th at the age of 90 years old. Mr. Cater had been a member of the Chamber of Commerce, assisting business owners in writing their business plans for many years. He was also a member of the First Baptist Church in Alexander City. A memorial service will be held in Alexander City on January the 15th at 10 a.m. at Radley's Funeral Home in Alexander City, followed by a graveside service at Highland Memorial Cemetery in Anniston at 1:30. In lieu of flowers, donation can be made to First Baptist Church of Alexander City or to a charity of one's choice. This obituary report this morning brought to you by Curtis & Son Funeral Home, the North Chapel on Highway 21 in Sylacauga, and the Childersburg Chapel on Highway 280 in Childersburg for pre-need funerals, burials, or cremation since 1975. Curtis & Son Funeral Home, Sylacauga, Childersburg.